An LA fire lady has gone viral over the past few days for mocking the idea that a woman firefighter, a concept basically unheard of until about 50 years ago, that a woman firefighter would struggle to carry a big burly man out of a burning building.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
You know, if I have to carry your husband out of a burning building, he's in the wrong place. Yeah, usually people in burning buildings would describe their position as the wrong place. It's not the right place. It's not the place they want to be. That's why we have firemen. And nobody wants that lady responding to their burning building. She says, well, you know, when your house is on fire, you want to make sure that the fireman who shows up looks like you. I'm sorry, the fireman or fire lady who shows up looks like you. That is not true. I am a perfectly average-sized, not particularly athletic, swarthy fella. I don't exactly care about the race of the man who shows up, but I definitely want it to be a guy. I want the guy to be huge. I want him not only to be above average in size, I want him to be very much above average in size. I want him to be very athletic so that he can carry me down flights of stairs. I want him to be a big, brawny dude. I don't care if he's a white guy. I don't care if he's Hispanic. I don't care if he's a black guy. In fact, black guys are pretty strong. They're pretty athletic. Maybe I would even sort of prefer him to be a big, giant black guy, which is not me. He wouldn't resemble me, but I would feel a lot better if that were the case, because I would believe that he is likely to save me from the burning building. But if a lady of any sort, straight, lesbian, white, black, Hispanic, if a lady shows up, I'm going to start sweating even more than I already was with the building on fire. It should go without saying, but I think it actually has to be said now. Women should not be firefighters for a whole host of reasons. One, because they're physically weaker than men. Just a fact. Two, because it is a disordered society that sends women into burning buildings to save men. That's just wrong. It's the same kind of society that sends women to the front lines of combat to catch bullets from jihadis. It's a bad idea because women are physically weaker than men. But it's also just disordered. What kind of a sick society? What kind of a society sends women to go catch bullets to protect men? That's just wrong. That's a society that doesn't know the difference between men and women. And I'm not just talking about the people who've fallen prey to the transgender ideology. I'm talking about many people who would even call themselves conservatives, because I know what the answer is going to be. There are going to be people who think that they are conservative, who think that they are on the right wing. And they're going to say, well, look, sure, Michael, usually women should not be firefighters. Usually women should not fight in combat in the military. But, you know, some women can do it. It should just be about whoever can pass the physical fitness test. And if you can pass the test, then be my guest. Now, first of all, what happens when you subject everyone, regardless of sex, to that kind of standard is the standards just get lowered. That's what happens in police departments. It's what happens in the fire department. It's what happens in the military. But even beyond that, do you see the logical conclusion of that thinking? This is the thinking that gave us transing the kids. This is the thinking that gave us the sexually confused society. This is the thinking that ripped apart any semblance of chivalry or serious definition of family. Listen, women can be usually they won't be, but women can be firefighters so long as they pass the test. Okay, why not? That's fine. Of course women can fight in combat. You know, if they pass the test, if they're as physically strong as men. Of course we should support same-sex marriage. People should have any kind of rights that they want. Doesn't bother me. Just don't make me pay for it. Of course. And look, adults, if adults want to put on dresses, if they want to chop up their bodies, that's their right. They're individuals. That doesn't affect me. But transgenderism in school curricula, that's crazy. Do you see the problem with that? Of course women should be permitted into men's typical spaces, and they should be permitted into the military academy and the police academy and the fire academy. But transgenderism, that's crazy. You've already accepted. By accepting the logic of same-sex marriage, by accepting the logic of the LGBT movement, by accepting the logic of feminism, you have accepted the premises that inevitably bring you transgenderism. And it's all absurd. And when we see the lady firemen admitting this on camera, saying, yeah, I probably can't pull a man out of a burning building, but sounds like a him problem, doesn't it? Why is he relying on me? I'm a lady. I shouldn't be pulling him out of a building. She's even admitting it. That men and women are different, that this is absurd. But when even the conservatives accept these absurd premises, well, you end up exactly where we are. Now, there are still some amazing things happening in LA. James Woods, great actor and a conservative actor, one of the few conservative actors. James Woods was posting on X the other day. Well, he's always posting on X. He's a very prominent tweeter. But James Woods was posting and said basically that his house was up in flames. His house was right where the fire is, and he said, it's gone. I'm evacuated, but it's almost certainly gone. Then he posted this a couple days later. A miracle has happened. We managed to get to our property, and our home that we were told is gone forever is still standing. In this hellish landscape, standing is relative, but smoke and other damage is not like the utter destruction around us, the view from our deck area. And then he posts from his deck, posts a little video, and everything is just wiped away. It's just totally gone. Then Woods points out, he says, one side untouched, the other utter destruction. While we rejoice to find our house intact in the midst of a hellscape like this, you can only think of your neighbors. I think we have the video of both sides of the street. Somewhere we have the video. Somewhere hidden in the control room we have the video. I was so certain that our house was gone a day ago, but the fickle finger of fate decided otherwise. Now, the fickle finger of fate is an interesting phrase. That's not exactly the phrase I would use to describe what's going on, but it is crazy. You've seen a lot of videos like this. One side of the street, totally fine. The other side, absolutely destroyed. But this is not the only story we've seen like this. There's another group of people who had all their property burned down. One thing remained. We have video of that too. A statue of the Virgin Mary, specifically of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is the apparition of Mary, the Mother of God, in the Americas, converted millions and millions of people. Everything burned down. This statue of Mary is still standing. It's enough to give you goosebumps. Even if you're the most hardened materialist who thinks that all of these kind of numinous phenomena are pure coincidence, it's enough to give you goosebumps. Add on top of that, in the Palisades, there was a property that survived. It's a property owned by Rick Caruso. It's one of the most beautiful properties in LA. It's the Palisades shopping mall. Now, in the case of Rick Caruso's property, he's the Republican who ran for mayor. In the case of Rick Caruso's property, he appears to have brought in some private fireman help to help keep the fires off of his property. So that was a little less providential, perhaps, but he's Rick Caruso clearly cooperating with the resources he had. But then I have one more story. This one was really crazy. Friend of mine, he's a conservative guy. He's a friend and colleague of many years. He has a property in Malibu. And we were looking at the spread of the fire, and I was texting him, but I didn't want to say, man, your property is gone. And I was asking for updates every so often, and he showed on the map his neighbors' houses, just X, property gone, X, property gone. Virtually all of his neighbors had their houses burnt to the ground. And then a day or so later, he texts me a picture of his property, completely untouched. Palm trees on his property, completely untouched. He had a cardboard box of wood on his deck, completely untouched, not a hint of smoke. I was seeing footage from his neighbor's Ring camera of sparks flying by the property. The fire got so close to his house that 2 windows exploded. The property otherwise totally his stuff is fine. I am not saying we have to read into this all that much. It's a wicked generation that seeks after signs and wonders, and the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. However, as a priest friend of mine observes, it's a stupid generation that ignores signs and wonders, and one sees significance in a lot of things, like a statue of the Mother of God standing amid all the ruins, or certain houses survive, certain houses don't. It's Providence is tightly knit and imbued with meaning. It's just eerie, I guess is all I'm saying. What you're thinking right now, I agree. That was good. And you learned something. You were delighted. You enjoyed yourself and you want more of that. And if you want more, you have to subscribe. You have to ring that bell to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel.